Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Fazbear Entertainment would like you to put your hands together for the one, the only, Freddy Fazbear.
Rewritten! Hey everyone. Before this episode starts, I want to address a mistake that I made in Chapter 23's lore. So I accidentally mixed up some of the dates in a way that makes Vanessa's proposal to restart Project Security not make a lot of sense. I already corrected this mistake in a video that I'll be linking in the description, but since I know not everyone pays attention to posts in between episodes, I want to give this warning here. So if anyone missed the video where I corrected the mistake, you gotta go to the link in the description and listen to the canon version of 23's lore. Yeah, I'm super sorry about this. I just made a simple mistake and I want to correct that instead of just leading everyone on a wild goose chase. So, yeah, go to the link in the description, watch the new version of the lore, then come back here for the continued story. Okay. Thank you. Bye. I'll get out of your way now. Bonnie could think again. The senseless muck that had once filled Bonnie's head had been finally drained, letting his real emotions rush back into him for the first time in years. And those emotions, they were too much to handle at first. It was like being disemboweled, everything inside of him violently ripped out and replaced with nothing but disoriented fear. What was happening? Were the others going to kill him now? Where was Vanny? He was supposed to be doing something. What was he? A much more important matter swiftly interrupted his questions. There was someone in his mouth. A kid. Horror surged through Bonnie. The moment he realized what he was doing, Bonnie spat him out. Before the kid even fell onto the ground, Freddy was holding on to him, stammering out, No, please, no. The kid's head was bleeding. Seeing the red stain only caused a thrill of panic. Wait, did he just bite him? Bonnie was completely paralyzed by the realization, a heavy lead weight sinking inside of his gut, only able to stare on through blurry eyes as he watched Freddy feel for the boy's pulse. Gregory was only motionless long enough to scare them. But soon, the little kid's eyes flew open with a terrified squeal. He held on tight to Freddy, coughing and wheezing, while the big metal bear tried to assess how injured he really was. Had he passed out from shock or brain damage? Bonnie couldn't see very well through his unkept optics, a milky brown haze covering most of his vision. But the kid's skull didn't look misshapen, and he was already speaking, although the words themselves were not very comforting. Am I dead? No, I don't think so, Gregory. Just lie down, Freddy told him, gently lowering him back down to the floor, probably hoping to not damage him any further. There was now 2 rings of teeth marks all around Gregory's head, turning bits of his hair dark maroon and letting bright crimson trails leak down his face. Bonnie's bottom row of teeth had left a diagonal bite mark that ran from his chin to just beneath his left cheekbone, the top row having dug into his scalp just above his right eye. Gregory's right ear was almost completely shredded by Bonnie's buck teeth, bits of skin flapping off loosely around the hole. But his ear looked like the worst of it. It was bloody since it had torn up his sensitive face, but it didn't look like the bite had penetrated to the bone. It was just the top layers of skin that were damaged. It would hurt, and he would definitely need a tetanus shot soon, but it hadn't killed him. Bonnie finally regained his senses enough to realize what actually happened. When the kid had done something in his throat, Bonnie's body had shut down. That meant his jaw had simply gone slack. They hadn't chomped down on Gregory's skull like he had intended. The force of Bonnie's built-up momentum had caused the bite marks, but the rubber band-like snapping release hadn't been powerful enough to pulverize his brain. Because of course he didn't bite him. It was impossible for him to hurt a child. Bonnie stopped. No, wait, that wasn't right. That wasn't what he was thinking a few seconds ago. Wait, but he remembered trying to kill the kid just a moment before. If the child had been just a second too late to take that chip out, he would be dead right now. Wait, Chip? What Chip? What was happening? Why did he do that? You're okay, Freddy sighed, figuring it out about the same time that Bonnie did. He couldn't bite you hard, he just cut you up. Everyone except Gregory relaxed at that announcement. The little boy was just frozen, like he still hadn't really processed that he had survived. Gregory slowly lifted his fist up in front of his face so he could see what was held there, smiling weakly. He rolled into his seated position, showing Freddy what he had in his shaky hand. I got it out. Freddy enveloped him in a hug, laughing with relief. Thank you so much. You were amazing, superstar. Thank you. A chip. Gregory was holding a programming chip. Bonnie's chip. He only grew more confused. Wait, what was happening? Was he trying to... Bonnie stared around at everyone. Pure, unfiltered pain surged up his body as he recognized each of their faces. Freddy, Roxy, Chica, and Monty. The others didn't immediately address him, instead crowding in on Gregory, distracted with their program to immediately tend to a hurt kid's needs. Roxy fished a wad of bandages and ointment from her stomach hatch. She was always equipped with first aid in case a kid got hurt in the maze. Freddy accepted the offer and began to try and clean up Gregory's wounds, to at least stop him from bleeding all over the place. Gregory was surprisingly quiet, still in stunned shock after such a close brush with death. A part of Bonnie wanted to throw himself into Freddy's arms. Another wanted to bash Monty's face in. They canceled each other out, disorienting him completely, making him feel like he was hurtling into a wormhole. What was going on? What were they doing here? He hadn't seen them in so long. He had almost forgotten what their faces looked like. While they were waiting for Gregory to start clotting, each of them were allowed to finally look up and take in who he was and what just happened. How are you feeling, Bonnie? Freddy said slowly, keeping a tight hold over Gregory. Bonnie blinked around at all of them, too stunned to react. Something was wrong with him. Just as Freddy opened his mouth to ask him something else, revolted fury burst forth in him. It was the only thing that had stayed consistent through the change, the only thing that had driven him for 5 long, torturous, lonely years. Freddy promised that he would be okay, and then... Get off of me! Bonnie cried out, shoving them away. What's going on? What did you do to me? Bonnie fell against the floor, scrambling away from them, his entire body immediately forcing him to stop with a vicious backlash of pain. It hurt so much to move. Every single joint in his body was caked with rust and grime, each bend in his endoskeleton grinding and screeching together. Pain raked up his spine with every insignificant shift, his hips and legs practically screaming after carrying him for so long without maintenance. The only thing in Bonnie that felt solid was the weaponized bowling ball arm, but the rest of him felt like it would fall apart with the slightest tap. His body had been like that before, but now the pain was more vivid, like he was finally allowed to pay attention to it. It almost made him want to go back to the fog of whatever state he had been in before. His thoughts were flowing easier, but they were also much louder, becoming a storm of panic and fury and confusion. What was happening? Why was he so happy to see them all? No, they betrayed him. He wasn't happy to see them. That part of his life was over. They had made that clear. Roxy stepped forward, her singular blue eye flickering with tearful hope, saying, Bonnie? Are you feeling okay? Are you really back? What? No! Bonnie snapped, staggering away from them, too many emotions assaulting him from all angles. No, you lied to me! All of you did! Where's... His head pivoted around, tattered ears flopping against his arms. Where's Vanny? Then, through the earpiece, Vanny's voice came to him. Bonnie, help! I'm in the replica's office. Moon is trying to get in. He couldn't comprehend what just happened. His entire mind was so full of pain, he didn't know what to do with it. It was too much, just too much. He couldn't stand to look at any of them for a moment longer. Run! Bonnie turned from the agonizing faces and fled. Returning to Vanny was the only thing that made sense right now. "Wait, Bonnie!" Freddie yelled. "Come back!" He couldn't look at them, couldn't hear him. His sensory mechanisms were on fire, overwhelmed. It hurt too much. He had to escape. He had to get out of here now. Bonnie wasn't sure where he needed to go at first. His sense of direction was jacked up, aisles standing in places where they shouldn't be, piles of bowling pins and shoes scattered across the floor haphazardly. And he hurt so much. Every part in his body stabbed against its neighbors, like he was in the middle of an earthquake, half a decade of neglect trying to tear him down with unrelenting waves. If he wasn't so distraught, he would have dropped right there and curled up just to make it stop. He cast his gaze around in the darkness, finally finding the test room for James and adjusting himself with that. Okay, he could do this. He just had to focus past his thoughts. Bonnie ran for the stairs at the back, fleeing from the painful scene. He flew down the first few steps, leveling out into the corridor that led to the replica. The walls fell away as he entered a huge cavern. He slowed, taking in the vast pit below him. The shaft was very wide, darkness tunneling downwards endlessly, the light of the lamps not making it very far. The only thing that proved there was a bottom at all was the set of metal stairs. They zigzagged from platform to platform all the way down, the metal glimmering in the dim light, eventually finding the bottom of the scrap dump. Bonnie crashed down the stairs, trying to continue functioning despite what had just happened to him. What was he doing? He was trying to hurt some kid. There had been a chip in him. He was... No, stop! He blocked those thoughts out, shaking himself as he rounded another corner. No, just get to Vanny. Everything will make sense again when he gets to Vanny. She would know what to do. She always did. He made it down into the abyss, finally leaping over the last railing and landing heavily. Bonnie's legs buckled and he fell in a scattering of gravel, crying out in pain. His body seized briefly, trying to ride through it as he gasped for breath. It hurt. His body hurt so much. How had he been numb to all of it before this? Bonnie curled his limbs in closer, grimacing at the feeling of rust caking every square inch of his innards. His neck cracked as he lifted it to stare out at the replica, cloudy old eyes adjusting to the new light that was now flooding from inside the building. He stood at the lip of a pit that was filled with piles and piles of scrap metal. It was what made up the bottom of this huge cavern. Rusted wheels, pistons, gears, and sheets of aluminum filled the trench to the brim, the featureless heads of abandoned staff bots staring at him, their broken arms stretching out and trembling, grabbing at nothing. The iron tang of it stank in the air, making sickening memories flood back in, even at a time like this. All that time lying there, paralyzed but still aware, watching uncaring onlookers throw more discarded parts on top of him, slowly burying him alive for days and weeks and months and years and years and years and years and years and... Bonnie tried not to look down, making his way around with the help of the metal railing, leaping down onto the entryway of the replica. The replica was dug into the wall of an offshoot cave, hidden away from the line of sight from above. It looked like an average building, hidden in a shelf of stone, not matching the gray rock around it, almost like it had been simply cut and pasted there. Once Bonnie staggered inside, he found himself standing on a stage that overlooked the main party room of a pizzeria. Fizzing yellow light flickered down from the ceiling, the room filled with sets of benches dressed with brightly colored tablecloths. There were rarely any people down here, but the place still looked ready for customers at the slightest notice. And, of course, it was no longer stained. It had been very recently cleaned. The wall opposite to him was marked by 2 parallel halls leading towards the night guard's security office at the back, where Vanny was hiding. Bonnie charged down from the wooden stage, dodging around the tables and shooting into the right hall, where he heard strange whimpering sounds. Moon's form was fallen against the corner, looking up at him far too slowly. Bonnie brought his bowling ball arm down on him with a heavy crack. Moon crumpled like he was made of popsicle sticks. Bonnie grabbed him by the ruffles around his neck and dragged him out of the hall, hurtling the thin animatronic out into the dining area. Moon hit the sharp edge of a bench, sprawling to the ground, the breath knocked out of him. Bonnie didn't go after him, though, instead standing between the entrances of the two halls, facing the stage, where the others would surely be arriving soon. The others. An odd emotion came over him at that. Bonnie wanted them to come. He wanted to run to them and what? For a few moments that thought buffered in his head. He assumed that he should attack them, but no, he wanted to hug them. He wanted to hold on to them and never, ever let go again. He was startled by the yearning that welled up inside of his chest, lowering the bowling ball hand and relaxing, before getting even more confused. No, he wasn't thinking right. Something was wrong. That chip, what had it been doing to him? Vanny? Bonnie called, his voice choked up already. Since she could communicate with him through the earpiece, Vanny responded with, "Yes? They did something. What?" Bonnie looked down at himself, then back up at Moon. Moon was curled over in pain, clutching his chest, fighting for breath between racking coughs. Bonnie remembered how hard he had hit him. No, wait, he wasn't supposed to feel bad for him. Moon was with them. Something happened. They did something, Bonnie stammered. They pulled a chip out, and now I'm... He couldn't find the words to describe the freakish cartwheels his thoughts were doing. They what? Vanny said. There was a chip. The boy pulled a chip out, Bonnie tried to explain. I feel bad. What do I do? She cursed a few times. Bonnie just waited for her instructions, trying to withstand the feelings rioting against him. That's, not ideal, Vanny eventually said. Yes, you did have a chip, but it was just painkiller. Your body hurts, right? Yes? That's why. The chip was blocking the pain. Vanny appeared more collected the longer that she spoke. Sorry, if they pulled the chip out, they're probably just trying to make you weaker. Something about that felt odd, but Bonnie didn't know how else to think of the situation. Vanny was right. She had to be. Everything that she said always made sense before, so that must be true now. She could do the thinking for him. Just as things began to go back to normal, Moon objected. Wait, Bonnie. Moon coughed again, struggling to sit up straight. They pulled your chip out? Can I talk to him? Bonnie asked Vanny. No. So he didn't reply. It's really good that they got it out, but you must be pretty confused right now. Moon chuckled a bit, then winced as if that hurt his chest even more. I know it's disorienting at first, but I promise things will get clearer. What? No, everything's hurting more now, Bonnie said, briefly forgetting that he was supposed to keep quiet. I know, Moon said, but it'll get better. You'll be okay now that you're out of her control. Out of her... Wait, what? Bonnie took a step back, shaking his head. What are you talking about? Don't listen to him, Vanny's voice blocked out whatever Moon was trying to tell him. What are you doing? I told you not to talk to him. He's just gonna try and trick you. Had one too, Moon was saying, but the meaning of his statement was lost already. He waited, like he was expecting Bonnie to follow up. When he didn't, Moon asked, Did you hear me? She was controlling you. You're free now. I'm not supposed to talk to you, Bonnie said, raising the bowling ball weapon. Back off! Moon recoiled, his twig-like arms shaking as he tried to drag himself further away, still holding his cracked chest like his hands were the only things keeping himself from splitting in half. But what he said... What's he talking about, Vanny? Bonnie whispered. He's saying... He's lying to you. I already told you that, Vanny said, before even giving him the chance to finish his sentence. Don't fall for it. They'll say anything to get you to do what they want. Don't you remember? I do, Bonnie said, but... Do you really think I'd lie to you? Vanny said, louder. After everything we've been through? Did you seriously forget what they did to you? His throat stung, making him lower his head. No, but... Bonnie, you have to remember what they really want. They're coming down here because they want to kill us. They know you're still alive now. They want to finish you off, Vanny interrupted. Are you seriously going to fall for it again? Are you going to just let them kill me? Kill you? This is serious, Bonnie. You have to be stronger than this. I'm sorry, he mumbled, ashamed of himself. What was wrong with him? Stupid, 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 stupid. Vanny sighed. It's okay. I know it's hard. I'm going to help you through this, all right, Bonnie? Just listen to my voice. I'll make sure that they don't trick you again. We can survive this together. Bonnie looked back up just as the 4 other animatronics made it to the bottom of the stairs. Seeing their faces hurt him. He tried to keep a hold of what Vanny told him as they began to speak. Bonnie, Freddie yelled as they crossed the rails around the scrap dump. Wait, hold on! Stay back! Bonnie warned, raising his bowling ball hand high. Freddie, Monty, Chica, and Roxy slid to a halt on the stage, staring around in confusion. Gregory was nowhere to be found. Moon! Chica yelped, spotting him on the floor. Moon had made it to the bottom of the stage by now, still crippled with the injury Bonnie had brought on him. But that was good. Bonnie shouldn't be feeling bad about it. Moon was one of them. Stay focused, stay strong. Bonnie didn't linger on Moon for long, yelling at the rest of them across the room. Stay away from Vanny, all of you! You aren't taking her! Freddie held his paws up, eyes round. Wait, Bonnie, hold on! We need you to think this through. I know you're probably really upset. Any hesitation he had felt before was obliterated at that monstrous understatement. The words they had spoken all those years ago came rushing back, boiling to the surface like magma in a volcano ready to blow. You've been so scared. They said that it was okay. They promised. And then they just... Upset? Upset? Bonnie almost laughed, his horrible, distorted voice slicing up his throat like rusty hooks. He began to prowl from one side of the room to the other, venom spilling out of his voice as he drew out each syllable. You lied to me! You let them throw me away and leave me down here for years. Upset doesn't even begin to describe what I feel right now. Bonnie stomped out the last words, his voice contorting into a sob. Vanny's voice was there in his ear, telling him, Good, that's good. Let him have it. Keep going, Bonnie. Fueled by her, Bonnie continued, telling them things that he had been waiting to spit out for so long. Time probably flew by for all of you up on the surface, but for me, I felt every second of it. The technicians paralyzed me. I couldn't even scream for help. I was only able to listen to the broken staff bots around me as they clawed at me and tore me up and dragged me down further and further. And I couldn't move, I couldn't cry, I couldn't fight back, I couldn't do anything. Nobody was coming for me, nobody cared. They just left me there. They left me there. You left me there. The recollection was so powerful, Bonnie nearly dropped to the floor. His shattered mind drifted through the hellscape that he had endured for years on end, trying to remember that he wasn't stuck there anymore. He made it out. Vanny got him out of there. He was okay. Just 1 hour in the dump was enough to make me wish I was dead. Just 1. But still, I stayed there and endured it for so much longer. I was down there for 5 years! He expected them to argue, but when they didn't, he just kept going, unable to stop. When I finally got dragged out of that hellhole, it wasn't 'cause of any of you. It was Vanny. So don't you dare try to pretend that you're all still my family. Freddie stepped back at that, hurt, severing his gaze. Chica looked out at him in anguish, Roxy's singular eye flickering. His throat twinged. Bonnie hated himself for it. He should want this. He should want them to feel horrible and beg him for forgiveness. I'm so sorry, Bonnie, Freddie croaked out, struggling to find his strength. We didn't know that was happening. They said that you were dead. If we knew what was going on, I swear I would have done something, not just... Whatever Vanessa's been telling you, it was all lies. She's been lying to you about us. Bonnie chuckled bitterly, summoning up the hatred again. No, she's not. Honestly, I think Vanny is the only person who hasn't lied to me. When she saved me, she didn't tell me, oh, it'll all be okay, you're gonna be fine. She told me the cold, hard truth. You didn't love me. None of you did. You left me to rust away. His voice broke, but he kept going, not wanting to miss a single second of this. When I couldn't sleep anymore, you were all more than happy to let them scrap me. He pointed at Monty with the bowling ball, mocking. Oh, who needs old insomniac Bonnie? We got a shiny new ripoff right here! Wait, Bonnie, Freddie tried, something twisting deeper into Bonnie from the look in his eyes. None of that is true. We loved you. We really thought that they would be able to fix you. They told us that they scrapped you instead. Don't listen to him, Vanny's voice blared in his ear. Come on, you know that already. They said that they couldn't fix you, so they just put you down, Chica explained, her little voice quivering. We were devastated that they made that decision without us. It was horrible to hear that news. She's right, Bonnie. Roxy stepped forward, her eye focusing blarily on him. I don't think you have the right story. Did they even try to fix you? No, they just scrapped me, Bonnie said, a hole opening up in his chest. Wait, we didn't know that at all, Roxy said, her tail bristling up. Did you think that we lied to you before the operation? The reassurances they had spoken to him so long ago echoed back to him. I'm scared. I don't want to go in there. I know how much you hate procedures, Bonnie, but you gotta be brave for this one. They'll help fix you. What if they do something like last time? They won't. They said that they won't hurt you. We'll all be waiting right here until it's done, okay? I promise. The rushing emotions slowed down, freezing like a river in winter. His mind became a void, pressing in on him, making him feel like he was floating in empty space. Bonnie couldn't keep going. This didn't make any sense. No, you tricked me into going quietly, Bonnie tried to push back. You said I'd be okay. We did say that. Freddie stepped towards him, the despair in his voice yanking at him. But I wasn't lying. I really thought they would try to fix you, not just throw you away. Is that what happened? Yes, he breathed. This didn't line up. Something inside of his head had changed. His throat still hurt from the chip removal. And now that he was thinking about it, this was making less and less sense. Why had he attacked the others? The hatred for Monty was still reasonably there, but he'd hit Chica and Roxy and Freddie. And then he had tried to kill a child. A child. Cold alarm blared through him as he finally registered the nonsensical act. What had he just done? And why? Don't tell me you're seriously falling for this again, Vanny scoffed in his ear. They're trying to get to you. But they said... You have to trust me on this, Bonnie, Vanessa cut him off. They're trying to trick you. But they're lulling you into a false sense of security again. Don't fall for it. I think... Are you saying I'm lying to you? She suddenly grew angry. What is with you today? Why would you ever say that? No, I just think... I thought you learned your lesson already. What were all those years for if they didn't teach you anything? Just stop being stupid and listen to me. I'm trying to help you. It was getting harder to keep up with her, only confusing him even more. Bonnie tried to talk above her, finally managing to say something when she paused to take a breath. Why was I trying to hurt a kid? Vanny suddenly had nothing to say. The longer she spent silent, the clearer his head felt. Is Vanessa talking to you? Freddie caught his attention, every face in the room watching him with concern. Right, they didn't have an earpiece. They probably thought that he was talking to himself. Why was I trying to hurt a kid? Bonnie asked again, to the others this time. Freddie perked up, then opened his stomach hatch. Bonnie was a bit startled to see Gregory peeking out. He must have been riding inside this whole time. He was holding his own bandages to his face, no longer bleeding. But Freddie wasn't reaching for Gregory. Instead, he pulled out a handful of small plastic programming chips, closing himself up and holding them for Bonnie to see. It was difficult to spot from across the room, but it was clear enough what they were. Vanessa gave these to all of us, Freddie explained, the others nodding. Those aren't mine. What is he talking about? Vanny's voice piped up. She must be watching through the camera system. Those aren't hers? Bonnie said, more of a question than a statement. No, they are definitely hers. I literally saw her put one in me, Monty said, still clutching at his mouth to keep it together. And Gregory here saw her put one in Freddie while he was asleep. They made all of us think that we should attack Gregory, Moon said, keeping low as if he was ashamed. But once I pulled them out, we were fine. Chica, Roxy, and Monty all nodded in agreement. Just think, Chica said. What did she make you do? The mental clarity he had only recently acquired began to spread backwards into his head, into the past few hours, then the past few days, then the past few weeks. What he found immediately sent a wave of repulsion over him. James. He helped her murder James. No, not just murder. Torture. Memories slammed into him again and again. Only now they were evoking completely different reactions from him, making him bewildered that he could have been anything but mortified while committing those acts. So much blood. The way he screamed for his brother, for Gregory to save him. The way he pleaded for them to please stop. He would do anything they wanted, just please stop. Vanny ordered him to keep going until... Why did he listen to her? Why didn't he stop? Why did she do that? It was all too much. Bonnie was on the ground now, heaving with disgust, shaking uncontrollably. He tried to say something, but no words came out. Don't listen. It's... Vanny was running out of things to say, desperately trying to backtrack. Wait, Bonnie, I promise it'll make sense if you just let me explain. Vanessa has clearly been keeping things from you, Freddie said, each word cautious. She made you do something horrible, didn't she? Bonnie only whimpered, trying to tell them. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. Vanny said, Look, Bonnie, you have to trust me. I did it for a good cause. What cause could ever justify that? Bonnie said weakly. You never told me. Bonnie, you have to trust me. I did it because I want to save people. Don't you care about that? It'll all be for nothing if I stop now. I don't want to do this anymore, Vanny. Bonnie sobbed, unable to contain himself. I want to get out of here. I'm sorry. James was just a kid. He was just a little kid. And you made me... Dizziness overcame him, making it impossible to continue. Vanny switched tactics at breakneck speed, her words fast enough that it was difficult to find space to think in between them. Listen, Bonnie, you still helped me do it. You're too far into this to turn back. Do you really think they're going to accept you now after what you did? I am the only person in the world that's going to cover for you. I can protect their memories. They can forget all of this. Jerry never pays attention to me anymore. I know I'm gonna get away with this no problem as long as you don't rat me out. And even if you did get out of here, do you really think they're gonna let you live? No, Jerry is going to throw you right back down here, and if I'm not here to save your ass, you'll be stuck in the dump forever this time. Stop it, please, just stop! Bonnie cried, pressing his paws to his ears. I'm so sorry, I didn't know what I was doing! I know, Freddie said, getting down from the stage to approach. I know, it's not your fault, Bonnie. She made you do it. It's okay. You don't have to listen to her anymore. Meanwhile, Vanny was contradicting him with, Do you want to get thrown in the dump again? I'm keeping you safe. Don't be stupid. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but she's been lying, Freddie kept going. We're your family. We love you. We had no idea that you were here the entire time. They told us you were dead. Don't let him sweet-talk you into giving in, Vanny hissed in his earpiece, exasperated. Bonnie, tell them they're wrong. You're not stupid. Letting them take you was the biggest mistake of my life, Bonnie. I'm not going to let Jerry do anything to you ever again, all right? Whatever she's saying, you don't have to listen. You can stop her. No matter how many times Vanessa repeated, don't fall for it, it didn't erase what Bonnie had just remembered. And when he looked up to meet Freddie's gaze, the concerned desperation in his eyes was real. He knew it was real. Say something, Vanessa was going on, words growing rapid and messy. Come on, tell me you're smarter than that. Bonnie? He lifted his hand, reaching into his ear, fishing out the communication piece. Bonnie crushed it in his hands, and her voice died off into nothing. Hey, what are you... Bonnie? Freddie began warily. Are you all right? Bonnie sighed and approached him. He passed the various tables, his throat swelling shut with years of repressed emotion. Before Freddie could ask anything else, Bonnie latched onto him with a tight embrace. I missed you all so much. Entry 7, May 20th, 2063. It only... Entry 8, September 19th, 2063. We eventually concluded that there were only 2 people inside Subject 4, thank goodness. But we are still unsure of how the split happened. It might be a case of dissociative identity disorder developed as a defense mechanism against trauma, although that would be odd since there's only 2 personalities. It could be this specific donor's rare case of a parasitic twin whose extra spirit had still been trapped in their body without his knowledge. It even could have originated from some sort of damage to the... Or maybe it's all 3 of these theories combined. It's not comforting to admit that we are stumped, but that's the plain truth. We don't have a perfect explanation as to why this happened. Still, we're going to continue any future experiments with the new precautions, in case of his rapid awakening was what caused this. We eventually decided to call Subject 4 the twins. Then I gave the twins an extra head to make things easier for them, and named them Left and Right individually. With 2 heads, they were both able to be awake at the same time, but, unfortunately, they faced a lot of repercussions for this compromise. Their balance and coordination is extremely flawed, and they are often seen arguing over where to go or what to do. They've probably fought with each other more often than they've had normal conversations with the other subjects. They are obviously not used to living in the same body, but even though separating them may be possible, I am not confident enough to risk their lives like that. Maybe I'll come up with a better way for them to share their body later, but for now, they'll just have to get used to having two heads. Once the twins found out that I had kids, they started asking to see them. The others agreed, and I felt like I couldn't say no anymore. My kids were getting suspicious of me anyway, and it's not like I'd be able to keep Project Security from the little stinkers forever. So, I showed them to the subjects. I got a very interesting set of responses. Jerry was terrified. He just started screaming and crying and ran away. I left Vanny with the subjects to go find Jerry, and when I came back, Vanny was playing the night guard game with them. I couldn't believe it. My wife drove Jerry back home, but Vanny ended up staying over for the night. Vanny said that she liked them because they looked scary, which was a bit less comforting. Maybe we should change their designs cosmetically so the subjects are a little less jarring for the eyes. I don't want an adult to have the same reaction as Jerry, especially an adult that is skeptical of the solutions Project Security can provide. I'll have plenty of time to think of what to say to the public once we get it right. I'm pretty sure that we're going to do it correctly the next time. Only one more subject. Victor Miller. Yay! Alright. You guys have no idea how long I've been waiting for this episode. It was really fun to record. Bonnie is back. So, yeah, my progress on the rest of the rewrite. I am currently voice acting chapter 25 and should be done with it pretty soon. I finally got the time to write chapter 27, like my hands healed up enough from drawing this picture in the background that I was able to actually write it, like typing it and stuff and finalizing it on paper and stuff. So now chapter 27 is ready to be voice acted once I get further along. And I've begun, like, finalizing the chapters in Act 4, like, writing them and stuff, because I'm getting closer to Act 4 now. The first chapter in the first chapter in Act 4 is 29, so, you know, we're getting pretty close to the end of Act 3, and I'm starting to prepare for that. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Thank you all for watching. Bye!